Hi everyone, this is OG Stars and welcome to my channel. And today we are reviewing Specter of the Past, which is the first book in the Hand of Thrawn Duology. And I will have hopefully a couple more people join me here. We were scheduled in, but stuff happens. I will have Miss Martin Muses here pretty soon. She is on her way home from work with a traffic jam right now. And Lady Toriel, she was going to try to make it. And here we go. Hello, darling.
Hi, I made it.
Yay, good. I tried to hold off a little bit more. Stig would have been up for a little over 24 hours if he would be on today.
Understood.
And I was like, you get some sleep, darling. And then Lady Toriel, she said she's going to try to bounce in. She does work night shifts. And so, if she doesn't make it, that's okay. And I invited Orange Hat last minute. A lot of people are busy today. Busy.
Yeah, well, I was kind of close because, after work. And then, of course, I get onto the freeway and no traffic is moving. And I'm like,
no, you did that the slow Vader no, huh? No.
Exactly. Yeah, the one day I really need to have smooth traffic, and that's what happens. Murphy's Law, I suppose.
Yes, Murphy Law. There you go. But and I'm glad you made it home safely and you are here with us now. And I'm excited. No matter who's with me, I'm excited to talk about this duology, the first book at least.
Yes.
And I know you read it, and I know you have, a lot of stuff to say about it as well. And if you would see my notes just to keep us on track, I have 2 pages front and back just to keep us on track.
Yeah.
It is. So I have Jedi Luki, who will be rewatching. He's going to a family dinner. And then hello, Jedi Padawan Trela. Good evening, OG. Hello. And we do have Miss Martin Muses with us. So, and then Jonathan Creedon, Ooga Booga. Okay, thank you so much. If that's how you're feeling, everybody needs an ooga booga, huh? I mean, just to be silly, right? And then John Jenkins, how are you doing? Good books. Yes. So today is this literature review is book 1. The next one, which these books are very long, and so I'm thinking of having like a 6 or 7 week time span between the two, just to have everybody have plenty of time to read it or listen to the unabridged on Audible. So I will announce that, and I might change it to a different date as well. So I'll talk to everybody that, wants to be like Teresa here, who wants to be on the panel to do a smoother schedule for everyone, so that we can all be here together. And then GFan84, hello everyone. And so the second book is Visions of the Future. And if you're a huge Mara and Luke fan, then you're going to really love that one. So exactly. And then let's see who else. Demogeny, hello. Hey, what's up, my pimp? How are you doing, my fellow pimp? And I'm still I've been very busy to the point where getting notes ready, having coffee chat, clean up around the house, and I'm still kind of in pajamas and messy hair bun. So I'm not coming on camera today. So let's see here. And so how are you doing, Teresa?
Oh, doing great. My brain is so scrambled with this book. I forgot how complicated it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, who, where, what, and how the things that he weaves in there, it's more complicated than what he did with the Thrawn trilogy, I think.
It is. And when I was writing down notes, and because I have the Reader's Companion, and I have one of the not original prints, but it's non-Legends banner one. So it has the raised foil Star Wars insignia on it. Mm-hmm. So one of those. And then, and of course, I have the unabridged Audible. So I did listen and read together. And the unabridged one on Audible is basically the full book, per word. So there's nothing they skipped. Oh, we do have Lady Toriel. Hi, darling. Looks like we're having a Star Wars Woman Day literature review. Look at this. Who said women did not like, oh, and the she goes. She's gone. Who says that women does not read or like Star Wars, right? So, and she'll be back. But my point is you know, so the Audible is the unabridged. They do have a bridged one, but the unabridged is word by word. So it was a great listen to and read together. Hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
How are you? We're doing good here.
I just woke up, so.
Well, thank you so much. All right. I know. So I got one that just got home from a crazy, you know, like drive home and relaxing now on stream to talk Star Wars, and you're waking up to talk Star Wars. Thank you so much, you guys. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It is. Truly, truly is. All right. So Lady Toriel, how are you doing?
Good. I have some espresso coffee, so maybe my brain will function here in a few minutes. So we're doing good.
This is the evening coffee chat.
It is. I did grab coffee to myself.
I know everything's backwards for me. I mean, I'm eating dinner when you guys are coming on and eating breakfast, and I'm awake when you guys are all going to bed. And
oh goodness, it's a crazy world, but you know, you got to make a living, right? And sometimes that requires your schedule to be weird and off, or off from everybody else. So, you know.
Oh, I've been that way most of my life. I'm off. I never fit into a nice little round box there, you know. But I've always been a little bit outside of the box there.
That's okay. I love everybody who's outside the box, their own person, you know. And Teresa was saying how not complicated, but complex this book is. And how he puts so much information in here, and how it ties significantly not only with his other books, but also other stories that came before.
Yeah, and it's also, to me, I find it because I've started the other book already.
Okay.
So, because I couldn't wait, because I love the ending, and the ending just got me. So it was like I had to start the other book. It's basically a background and setup for the next book.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to jump right into the other book, you get further into the chapters.
Yeah.
Because he leaves the threads hanging. The threads are intertwined through the story, but yet he doesn't continue them on. He kind of lets you have a little bit on what's going on in different places, and then he drops it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I was telling Teresa, and then we'll get into discussing the book. Excuse me. Is that writing the notes, because I did write notes, and it's 2 pages front and back, almost 2 pages, like 2.5 pages, or 2. Yeah. Well, anyways, it's let's see here. So writing the notes to keep us on track and stuff like that is like, there's so much like little details in there. Like Luke is still having doubts about, you know, his abilities, and, you know, or like using too much of the Force, which we'll get into. And then, you know, we have, you know, a planet still that, you know, are a species that, you know, really don't care for Jedi, you know, and so it goes into that. And just like how we see in the Clone Wars, you know, like some planets, you know, heard rumors and never had any direct contact with Jedi, that they heard rumors, and so Jedi to them are bad. You know, so it all goes into that about too much power, using too much power, or being too skilled or too strong in the Force, basically. So I find it's very, very interesting and very complex how he wrote this So, in the beginning, we have Supreme Commander Pelion. So basically, I'll go ahead and let everybody know if you guys haven't read it. This book, of course, we know it's from Timothy Zahn. It is 19 ABY, and the worlds are Bastion, Borkorash, Bathui, Sanjenshin, Silpar, Dietany. And if I'm butchering these, I'm sorry. Dordolum, Episol, Exochron, Epigen, Jangle, and I think I said that wrong, and Koron, Morshim, Monolist, Neuron, Noshkin System, Patrick Minor and Major, Rimsey and Sifcrete and Wayland, of course, and Yaga Minor. So basically, we have those planets that are visited within the two books, not just this book, but between the two books. And then main characters are Luke Skywalker, of course, Han Solo, Princess Leia Organa Solo, Mara Jade, Dalad Pelion, and Willem Dizra. So we have Dizra, so he's the main moth in this one. And Talon Card, which he's one of my favorite smugglers, and Grodon Tierce, and Flim. He's the con artist in this, and Boris Kfelia. And of course, we do have, introduction of a couple of our new character, Shada, as well, but she's not listed as a main character, and I think she should be. So I do have a super sticker here. Revenge of the Nether Realm. Revenge of the Nether Realm becomes, oh, wow. Okay, Laura, slow down. I have a new member. Thank you so much. Haven't been getting much membership lately. So when one pops up, I get like super excited. So, so we do have Pelion, and Pelion, I really love Pelion. What do you guys think of Pelion in the series, or just basically as a character?
Well, sure. I've always loved him as the sidekick when he was in the Thrawn trilogy as learning from Thrawn, and he seemed to be an Imperial that was sincere.
Mm-hmm.
He was a true believer.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see in this book that he's reached the point where he realizes for the good of the Empire, he needs to broker a resignation, a truce.
Yeah.
Surrender. That's it.
I'm resigning from the series. Bye. No.
We're resigning from the Civil War.
Exactly.
Surrender.
It's okay. I know we are all, I knew what you're saying, but yeah, that was a nice little chuckle as well, but I knew what you're saying. And you are right. About, the resignation or the surrender, or the peace treaty he wants to do. So Lady Toriel, what do you think overall about Pelion?
I think he's true military.
Mm-hmm.
He sees things from a military standpoint.
Yes.
He's actually grown a lot as a person being next to Thrawn.
Yeah.
He's picked up a lot of the tactics from him and learned from him, but yet he's a survivor and he wants what's best for his people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean military wise, because I think he thinks of the military as his family.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Because he's been nothing but military. So personal, no, his personal is the military.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree.
He does not like to see waste. He does not like to see destruction unless it's absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And he does not like to see wastes of people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you get to read more, because his character his arc goes all the way into Legacy of the Force era. And his character remains steady. So even if someone else writes his character, they keep true to his character arc. Sometimes, you'll get like, like even Luke Skywalker being written kind of off, and you're like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do here, but he's kind of off, kind of deal. And stuff like that. But they really keep him consistent, So yeah, I really liked him because yes, he is a very people oriented. He learned, tactics from, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he wants what's best for the overall population of the Imperial remnant, or what's remaining of the Empire. And that's why he is going into this treaty here. And so we have, Supreme Commander Pelion, who basically now is Grand Admiral too, proposes to the Council of Moffs. The Imperial remnant, are basically the Empire, what's left of it, should deliver terms of surrender. So resignation, Teresa.
Mhm.
To the New Republic in hopes to preserve what they have. And so that's the beginning of, one of the beginnings of the duology. And in this novel is his proposal of surrender and peace, so that they can, exist and not have any more casualties within and losses within their empire. So I think that's a great, breaking, or not breaking point. Well, maybe it is for them, because, sometimes no one wants to go through that and, admit that they lost and they want to do a peace treaty or whatever. They don't want to. And that's that push and pull we have in this book with him and the Moffs as well. So that's what I like about that. And then we have Han and Leia goes to the on a political mission about a shipping dispute. So it's Han and Luke, dispute between the Diamala and the Ishori. So we get into that part where they go to that planet, to the Ishori planet, or was it? No, it was Diamala. Sorry, to negotiate that dispute, or whatever. And this is where we get the Damala don't liking the Jedi due to the Jedi of the past on their planet turning dark or having too much power. So we have that little thing about Luke being told he cannot go into the negotiations. And then from there, he has to sit out, but he still has, a comm link so that he can listen and stuff. So what do you guys think about that little bit?
Are you talking about the part with the muffs? Oh wait! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. No!
Are you okay?
I was going to say, do we have it's causing a catastrophe over there? What?
Well, I accidentally said a different word than moth. Let me put it to you that way.
Yes, I heard what you said.
That's what happened. that was a fail on so many levels. The Council of the Moffs. I thought it reminded me very much of the way the oligarchy kind of group of who knows what were at the end of the Soviet Union. I felt like it was very much like that. And then there was one, of course, a faction that did not want to surrender. They wanted the empire to continue.
Exactly. They wanted to continue with their warlike ways, I guess you can say. They want all control and power, and they want to, make the New Republic pay. And so that's, we start getting into that more and more. So this book is very good because you still have the chapters, but the chapter's not just focused solely on one side. We get, part of the chapter, New Republic or Luke, Leia, or whatever. And then you have the other parts of it that's, the remnant and what's going on with that, whether it's Palion's faction or the other division of them as well. And so I think it's written really good. So, with the Han and Luke going on that political mission, and the Diamala not liking Luke because he's a Jedi, what do you guys think about that? And so
Oh, go ahead, lady.
I found it very interesting because
Mhm.
you see Luke having to push pull
Mhm.
in himself, which is becoming worse. He's second guessing himself and instead of using it because he fears the repercussions that he may become his father. That's always in the back of his mind.
Yes.
And then you also have the fact that these people are, I don't want to say deceptive,
Mhm.
but they fear him for what everybody thinks a Jedi can do.
Mhm.
They also they give Jedis, they've become almost mythical with all of the, how should I say this, the rumors of Jedi and what they can do.
Yeah, and then like I said too, because their planet did have Jedi from their from their own species and stuff turn dark at one point, and this is a while. This is not in Luke's time, but was prior to Luke, and so because of that, and because I dealt with that, and that goes, and I wish I would have cross referenced this, but I didn't. And I'm sorry, I should have, but it goes back to past the past, the lore of the past and what had happened in the past or whatever. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And so do you want to follow up on anything, Teresa?
Yes, just a reminder to us that not everybody was necessarily too crazy about the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
a huge point there, is that not everybody's going to welcome that. And we kind of stated that too in a coffee chat today, this morning, with Battle of Jabin, because years later, Luke has to deal with what happened with his father, and how the Jibims think about the Skywalker name and the Jedi because of what happens. And so we see that, and this is another account. And so I think it's very, very interesting. It's not only just what the propaganda that the Emperor may have created about the Jedi, it's also what the experience from what had happened during the Clone Wars as well.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we get in, so that's why I love these stories, and you have so much richness going on in here. So Han and Luke pursue the cavern. So basically, above the planet, after negotiations and what have you, or right before they happen, they do get bombarded by, not bombarded because that's bombardment over there in Star Wars is something different, but they do get the Caverlu pirates. Come and ambush a New Republic transport that's above the planet, and the planet basically is Ifigan, so it's not the Diamolan planet, but it's Ifigan, and so Luke and Han are asked to to protect, and so Luke basically is, we have his conflict with, with using the Force, his doubts of being too powerful. And, this is after the Dark Empire, storyline where he does go dark a little bit. So it still taints him. So he still questions his moves and if it's okay, and using too much of the Force will make him continue to go dark or whatever, so he has that push and pull. And so he questions that. And so in that fight, he sees images of Exar Kun and the Emperor. So what you guys feel about that? I mean, it's kind of chilly. It's kind of gives you chills, but it goes more into his psyche too. So Lady Torel, you want to go ahead and lead us off on that, or like what you thought about that scene?
It's the inner conflict. I mean, he wants to use it, but he doesn't want to use it. He knows that he can, but he doesn't want to everything he's doing also affects. I think Han is force sensitive. I really do, just because of his luck. I have always thought that because he's way
Yeah.
too lucky. And Han knows something's wrong. Leia knows something's wrong because she's in her training, trying to stretch out and use it. Mara, even though she's knows something's wrong
Mm-hmm.
from very far away.
Yeah.
They all know something's wrong, but they don't actually know what's wrong with it. And it's affecting them all, actually. Because they can't concentrate on what they need to concentrate on, because part of them is worried about what's going on with Luke. So that does the story. And it's interesting to see how that's interwoven in through the story.
Yeah, it surely is, and this is the beginning of it.
Yeah, it does affect how they sometimes interpret what's going on.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And so, Teresa, do you have any take or anything you want to say on that?
Oh, no. I mean, Lady Toriel said it pretty well. And also what you mentioned about Han feeling like that perhaps he had the Force powers. There was a lot of speculation between Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi among the fandom about who the other was. And a lot of people felt like it was going to be Han for that very reason, that he just seemed to be too intuitive, or just the way he would even be able to fly, and almost like he was using the Force there, even without even knowing it.
Yeah.
So that's an astute observation, but it never became anything that was canon.
Yeah. Yeah. But if I don't know if you guys read, was it called, which novel did Jaina and Jaggi get married?
I think that was the very last one.
Crucible, wasn't it?
I believe.
Or was it the last one of Legacy of the Force? I think
it was the last one of Legacy of the Force. I think we were engaged by the end of it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Don't know. Haven't got that far yet.
Oops. All right.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Well, anyways, what I'm going to say is that Jag asked Jaina about her dad being Force sensitive, and she thinks that he is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, because everybody has always said, if in any book I've ever read, that he is way too lucky. That's all they say, that he has phenomenal luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. So, that's basically where I think that comes from. Like Teresa said, he uses the Force without even knowing he's using the Force. People call it, fruition kicks in, and he follows that, which is basically the Force.
Yeah, he has like innate Force sensitivity or abilities, like we've seen like with Luke in the beginning, and we see with Anakin in the beginning as well. So it's very, very interesting. So let's go ahead and move on here. So for me, with him seeing Exar Kun and Emperor, and that solidifies his fears of turning dark, like using too much Force abilities, for every single thing that he will lose control and go dark. And that's how I seen that. And that's his deepest fear coming to life right there. Not coming to life, coming to in front of him when he is helping with this ambush against the New Republic transport. And so I thought that was very interesting and very deep, I guess you can say, because it was well written as well. And so these pirates, these Cavalier pirates, will take us for, we'll talk about them here in a few, and what happens with Luke in that situation. So I thought it was kind of funny, but like it wasn't like funny comedic, but it was just very, I don't know, it was like a more or less clever, I guess you can say, not funny, but basically he decides in this scene, he decides to follow the pirates back to the base in the Kuron system. So we start, Luke's going to go pursue the pirates. And so we have that. And then so Leia is on Wayland. And so this is their scene. Leia's on Wayland with her kids. She's on a leave of absence from her position as chief of state. And there, employee of Talon Card, his name is Lackjit, and I think he's Deveronian. He discovers some data cards near the ruins of the Emperor's storehouse, and he's supposed to take them back to his boss, but he doesn't, and she's trying to get the data cards from him, and Mara and he shows up there and questions him, and he's like, talking crap or something. There's some kind of banter where he's talking that he knows who his boss is, and Card basically shows up and and he's like, yeah, I need to take these to my boss, and Card's like, you don't even know who I am, I'm your boss, kind of deal. And but what's on those data cards is basically what one of the plots of this duology is about. And what it is that those cards contain the damage data that reveals the Bothans were involved in a destruction of the Kamas planet years ago. So that's like one of the main plot lines here that keeps everything moving. That also leads us, and then also one of those data, and then the name of that data card is the Hand of Thrawn. And so we have those two plot points there. Yeah. So what did you guys think about that scene? Because we have the Dathomirian that basically threatens Leia's family and her kids in this scene. And then he also blatantly lies in front to his boss, Talon Card. He didn't recognize his boss whatsoever, because he's, Talon Card has, employees or workers everywhere.
Yeah.
And stuff. So go ahead, and Teresa, go ahead and you lead this off on this one.
Well, it was certainly pretty disturbing where there was that situation with the children and the family and a place that seemed to be safe.
Yeah.
For them. And unlike some of the hundreds of kidnappings that had happened, I don't know, there was something that felt a little real about this one.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had the Nogri there too. Yeah. And they had the Nogri are settled on Wayland because, they need a new planet to settle on because, their planet is basically waste. We learned that from the Thrawn Trilogy. And I forgot to mention that Luke did sense clones when they were pursuing the Cavalier pirates. So I forgot to mention that. So that's another little thing that happened, that another little tiny bit of the story that's woven in as well. And so go ahead, Teresa. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, I think that was basically what I was getting at. Just talking about that. I was just saying that I wasn't trying to disparage perhaps what had happened before with the kidnappings, but kidnappings for some reason just seem a little more fantastical or soap opera-ish, but being out and about with your family and having something like that happen, there seemed to be a real fear and urgency and reality to it.
Exactly, especially them being a well-known family, basically, and I forgot to mention that the Bothans are the one that, were involved in the destruction, if I didn't fully say that. So they were the ones that in the past, and this was orchestrated by Palpatine as well, but the Bothans are a group of Bothans, not the whole entire race, but a group of Bothans were involved in that. So you want to go ahead and add anything else, Lady Toriel?
Dalen Carr, I love. Okay, he is, to me, basically the flip of the coin to Thrawn.
Yeah,
He is such a great character, and his mind works almost exactly like Thrawn's. Actually, Teresa will understand this when I give this reference. He reminds me a lot of Tyrion in Game of Thrones.
Mm.
See, I thought that would get you, Teresa.
Oh, okay.
Because Thrawn and Galen Card, even though they were on opposite ends, thought pretty much alike. I see it as a big wide chessboard, and they move pieces, and they put the pieces into place, even though people do not see it. They're like 4 moves ahead of everyone. And Galen Card is one of the few people who appreciate what Mara brings.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, and he keeps a very low profile, unlike Thrawn, who deals in the power and the fear of himself. Galen Card keeps a very low profile, but there's also that low burning fear of retribution for what he can bring if you ever cross him.
Yeah, exactly. He's such a good character as well, and so complex, but he also has morals, and so you don't see, he's got moral grounds, and he protects his people as well and stuff. And one thing I wanted to bring up, and then we're going to move on, is that we learn in history through this right here that the Ka'amas, they were refugees upon Alderaan, and but with the circumstances of the Empire ruling over the galaxy, it was Bail Organa, had to smuggle stuff to them for like food and all that necessities and stuff to them. So Leia mentions, my father didn't want anything official showing up in any important records. So basically, anything that was taken to them, like common goods, food, whatever. He always suspected Palpatine's involvement with Ka'amas' destruction. So we learn a little bit more history about this, so I thought that was very interesting. I thought I would bring that up. Yeah. So basically, Lakjit, the Deveronian employee, basically has to give up the cards to Talon Card, and then, and Leia and Talon basically, negotiate on her having, being able to clean up and see the records and stuff like that and what's going on. And so this goes on further into Leia confronts Borsk Felia. So after she takes the cards and she shares it with, the Senate and all this, she confronts Borsk Felia with revelation of the Ka'amas destruction. The Bothans were involved, but not exactly who or what clans were known. And so we know that already. Because of the deception, it led them to join with the Rebel Alliance against Palpatine. So basically, what they, because of the deception, and they were shamed by it, really, really shamed by it, they decided to go against Palpatine because they didn't know who exactly was involved. They were ashamed by it, and so they decided to go against Palpatine or the Emperor and side with the Rebel Alliance. So there's a little bit more history there going there, So I thought that was very, very interesting. So. And then, so I don't know if you guys want to expand on that.
Honor plays a big part in this duology. Everything, it seems like, comes down to saving face, saving honor, but also the past that understandably people just don't let go of, no matter what race they are.
Yeah exactly. And because of the word of the Bothans' involvement, this does strike a in the Ka'amas genocide, it's people of different worlds, the species of different worlds and stuff like that are calling for retributions by, from the Bothans, and now it's sparking so much like revenge. We see a lot of revenge going on in this too as well. So yeah. Do you want to add
also
anything?
shows a little bit of maybe some prejudice, only because it seems like the Bothans have an aura about them that is quote unquote suspicious, that they're viewed with suspicion by other people and other species. And I'm not entirely sure it's justified, because it was the Bothans who were the ones that gave the Death Star plans for the second Death Star.
Yeah.
So when it comes to light, he rightly fears this is going to go badly. This is going to go very badly.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to go ahead and answer this question real quick since I haven't had it up here for a while. Cavantino Che, how developed are Leia's Jedi powers in the story? She's not a knight yet, but she still has training, training to do. In this lore here, before she becomes a knight, she trains off and on, and so I would say she is a Padawan maybe, but she can hold her own. That's what I would think. What do you guys think about that?
I always understood that she never really had any formal training, or not much of anything, like occasional lessons. Like, she audited the classes at the Jedi Academy, but never quite joined. And so that she can use her Jedi powers, and she can use a lightsaber. But again, I don't even know if she went even as far as a quote unquote Padawan. It just seemed like it was always there was something else going on, and to train to be a Jedi needs total dedication.
Yeah. Well, when the Darkness trilogy is when she solidifies and trains under Sappa 17. And so she's not even there yet. We're not even at that point yet of where she becomes a knight. So yeah, right now she's just training on her own, maybe sometimes under her brother and stuff. But she's still focused on being in the Senate.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of like today with women. She's a senator, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a Jedi.
Yeah. And
she's trying to juggle all of this all at once, make it work. And Luke is training her sporadically. And the pressure you have, out of all the characters, think of everything that revolves around Leia. Luke is very one-minded. Han is very driven one way all the time.
Yeah.
He does care for his wife, but Leia's the one that's trying to keep all this together.
Oh yeah. She's basically the bread and butter of the whole group. We from the beginning, she is that strong female lead that we all know and love in Star Wars. Yep. She's the OG of, Star Wars, basically. Yeah. And so we get introduction of the new character, Shada Dukal, and she's a Mistral. And so we get more of her story towards the end, the next book, of what a Mistral is and what they do and what planet they're from and what happened to their planet and stuff. They do they do face hardships from even the Empire themselves. So we have that. So before we move on, what do you guys think about Shada when she was introduced? Because she was introduced as the bodyguard to one of the what do you call it? To Mazik, one of the smugglers or whatever. Mazik.
I loved her. I love all the different, the there are no strong female leads in Star Wars, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we have to discount Mara and her and
Mhm.
everybody else
Yeah.
that makes this such a rich, especially because it seems like they all turn out to either be bodyguards, and
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, that's a very smart, intelligent thing to do.
Yes.
Even Dalen Cards in Air, what his sensual robot lady, I can't remember her name.
Oh, you're talking about Prince Caesar in Shadows of the Empire?
Yes,
Yes,
yes. I
yeah.
mean,
His bionic bot, I guess you can say.
yeah, bionic bot, the one that stings like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
all the guys go gaga over this woman.
Yeah.
But if you've noticed the way Zahn writes, most of his female characters turn out to be like bodyguards, senators, heads of populations, and it's an interesting theme that runs through Zahn's writing.
Yes, it is. It sure is. All right, so we're going to go on to Moff Willem Dizra. So he's the main Moff. He's the main Moff. He's the main Muff.
Gosh. I'll never live
Okay,
that
say that.
down.
No,
I
you
was
won't.
going to say that really fast 3 times.
I know, right? And so he refuses to go along with Pallion's plan of surrender. Pallion sends Vermil. So basically, in this scenario, the scene here, Pallion sends Vermil to the New Republic to organize a meeting and talk of peace with General Garm Bel Iblis. And so he's another friggin' phenomenal character. And so Dizra then sends a Star Destroyer and to capture Vermil in front of Lando and the rogue squadron above Morisham. And so, they Wedge and Jensen basically are on that planet before that scenario happens, and they meet up with Lando Calrissian. So basically, that skirmish happens where Moff Dizra sends doesn't want peace and to surrender, and so he's trying to counter that from happening. And let me see where I'm else. And so basically, the Rogue Squadron, along with Lando Calrissian, try to rescue Vermil, and they fail. So he gets captured, but Vermil does try to send a message, which is basically blocked, but they only get bits and pieces of it. And so we have that. So what did you guys think about that little scenario of this push and pull that's going on within the Empire, of not wanting to surrender, but then wanting to surrender and have peace? And we see this scenario going down. So Teresa, you want to start? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was having some technical difficulties. My cat was messing with my keyboard.
Oh, fun time. She wants to lay on it, right? They just love doing that, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, in any case, oh, for feck's sake. Oh, sorry. Okay, just a second. I'm gonna have to mute myself. Now I'll sort
That's
the hell
okay.
breaking loose.
All right, so Lady Tori, I'll go ahead and take this while she gets her cat situated.
Yeah, I understand that. My cat, whenever I'm on here, they seem to want to go for my phone, so it's like they want to lay on the phone. But I think the push pull that's going on with between the way the Empire is thinking, his motives are basically for himself and his people and the retribution, and actually the honor he thinks is going to bring him
Mm-hmm.
if he can get the Empire back into power. I mean,
Yeah.
you see all the behind the scenes that's going on
Mm-hmm.
in his mind. And on the other side, he's thinking about the people and the sacrifices he could see coming if they stay embroiled in the fight.
Yeah.
He sees it as a losing end.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting because the two, they both want to save face, but they're both going about it in two totally different directions.
Exactly. And whenever you're ready, Teresa, you could chime in. If you're she's laughing at the background. She's like, darn it. And then
I find it interesting that Lando is brought into this
mhm,
quite unwillingly.
yeah. Yes. And they even call him by general.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I since
Mm-hmm.
then have retired that. But so I thought that was a great nod for him, from Tanab and and the second Death Star destruction and stuff. So I thought that was really really fun thing. And we also have Moff Disra, who basically has the many of the Grand Admiral Thrawn's personal documents, which I kind of find odd, but then because you would think that Pelion would have all that stuff, but because Disra has the Chimera, and we don't really fully have a backstory why he has Chimera and Pelion doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, does Pelion have Chimera still? Oh crap, I'm going to look that up. I didn't even think about that, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, we'll go on. So he has that, and so because he still wants the Empire or the Imperial Remnant to stay as they are. Basically, we get this quote unquote resurrection of Thrawn. And one important document, he also has is one of Major Grodin Tierce. And so we have Tierce in there, and I'm not going to do any spoilers on that because we find out who really Tierce is later. And then he has him as an ally, and then his other ally in this grand scheme of things is Flim, who is a con man. And he is the one, and this is not a spoiler, he is the one that with cosmetic alterations becomes Thrawn. So he sounds like him, he looks like him, he fools everybody. And so Deidre uses this to spark fear and rumors in the New Republic as well. So
yeah, it's a very long-term plan. If you notice, and that's the one thing I've noticed about the Empire. It's a long game that they play.
Yes. All right. So yeah, Chimera. Yeah, Pelion has a Chimera in Specter. Yeah. Okay. So I was a little bit confused on that, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he has it. And then Revenge of the Nether Realm. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. And again, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. I do have emotes that you can use that are Star Wars emotes. So you can use Jaina, Jason, R2D2, and other little emotes on there. So feel free to use them anytime you want to. Okay, her name was Guri. Yes, that was her name. And she's human replica George. Yeah, I know. I was just saying that she was a bot because it's fun. It's fun to say as well.
Yes. This hot bot. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a hot bot, but yeah, it's just fun. I just like teasing. So Teresa, do you have anything you want to add on the scene that we were talking about if you're available right now? Did I actually lose her? I think we might have. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe her cat disconnected her there.
Yeah, exactly. So if she needs to come back in or whatever, then hopefully things are okay. So, but she'll jump back in when she can. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. I am not sorry. Yeah, it's from this. I guess you could say Deezer plan was a bit flimsy in the end. That's very good. That is very good. So no spoilers, but yeah, I get it. So basically the Senate meet up. So basically we the New Republic knows about the Kamas documents, and so now it's sparking like revenge against anything that the Bothans have done towards other worlds and stuff. So we're seeing this turmoil starting to stir up, and it's perfect for Mos Dezra and his plans on trying to overcome the New Republic. He still has the mindset of wanting to overcome the Republic and take control of the galaxy, just like the Palpatine did. And so we have the Senate meet regarding the Kamas documents. Senator World's leaders want Bothans to pay restitution. And so this, again, like I said, leads many worlds and species to bring up old grudges. So we see that push and pull there. So what do you think? I know maybe this right now kind of mirrors our world in a sense, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I found that it seems like when they see how should I say this, blood in the water,
Yeah.
that everyone comes to get their own little piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's using to fuel the fire.
Yeah.
And egging everyone on to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like pile on. Let's, we're going to kick them when they're down. We're going to get reparations. We're going to get this, or we're going to totally eliminate them now.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought, because, like you said, you see that mindset now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's detrimental to a country, a species, a race. When people start to have the same sheep mentality, shall we say?
Yeah.
Is all I can say. Is that's what it reminds me of. It's the popular thing right now, so everybody goes for it.
Yeah.
And that's what you see in this story. Everybody's piling on the Bothans, not just the people that were involved.
Mm-hmm.
They're going after the whole race themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and move on here. And Gaverson, Leia, and Thalia do meet. So we have the meeting together on determine possible settlement of the Kamasi controversy. And so basically Thalia, they're like, can the Bothans really, pay their retribution? Thalia's like, no, they can't. Our economy is very low. We can't, and so they want proof that the Bothans can or cannot pay those retributions. And so Han and Leia are sent back to Bothawi to verify Thalia's claim. And Thalia, he's always been another consistent, crazy character. And, always in true Bothan fashion, thinking of just honor of their own, more or less, than anything else. And so we'll see that in the series, too, as well. And so Han and Leia go to Bothawi to verify claims of Thalia, stating that the Bothawi's poor economy will not allow them to hinder any restitution. And then, so from there, they meet at one of their world or their Senate buildings, I guess you can say. And from there, they basically a riot interrupts. And that riot basically is fueled by the Imperial. So we have the Imperial fueling these riots to further stir controversy and turmoil within the New Republic, because of course, Dezra and that faction doesn't want them to be successful and establishing a proper government, because they want total control. Whereas Pellaeon basically is like, we need to have peace, so both sides are not always losing, we're not always fighting, having conflicts. So
Yeah.
that we do have a lot of scenes. So Teresa, you want to talk about the scenes at the building where Han does get pitted as the one that was the shooter at that riot. So Teresa, you want to talk about that?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Isn't this a tune we know that trying to mess things up by stirring up things from within, and when things get crazy, when things get chaotic, whoever frames it first and gets the news out first is the one that's in control of the message.
Yeah.
And of course, it was very well orchestrated. And when people are doing a propaganda war, it's very unfortunate that for Han.
Yes, very. Yes, very. And what's so interesting is that it was, and I didn't write it down, and I could kick my butt for it, but basically it was a silencer type blaster, huh? Remember how they did it? They couldn't see the beam, and it triggered a crystal that was implanted, like some kind of crystal detonator that was planted up by the balcony, and they didn't expect Han to be there. So when they seen that Han was there, like, this is friggin' even more awesome, because now we have Han Solo, who is basically the hero of the galaxy, and we can pin this on him, which will further cause controversy. So Han was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and so basically they didn't see the blaster bolt, because it was a silencer, which is, when you look it up and stuff, it's not very commonly used because it's really expensive and it's only useful for so many shots. And stuff. So we have that. So Han gets, framed for that riot and the shooting and all that happened there. And so we see that. So Lady Toriel, you want to say anything else about that scene?
I found it was interesting how the connection between Han and Leia worked when she threw him the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And all it took was a look between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that interesting with the weapon that they used, because you couldn't see it, but it was a crystal, basically, that sparked and started that whole thing.
Yeah.
That was very interesting to me.
Yeah. And the Nogri is the one that recognized what was going on or what happened in that scenario, because they worked for the Empire for a long time. And if you read Thrawn Trilogy, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so they recognize what was used, and that's evidence too that you can't hardly prove either, because it's so well, like, it's like a covert kind of thing. So,
yes,
exactly. Yeah, I've had a share of my fembots in my time, and during that time,
oh my gosh.
I know, Guri, huh? And so during that time, Mara does get sent to the pirate base as well, because Talon Card wants her to investigate that base as well. And so we're going on to that scenario, which I find was very amusing and clever of these pirates to make a trap like that. And I was going to try to clip and play from the Audible, Luke getting trapped and what he does, because when you read it, it's great, but when you listen to it on Audible, oh my God, it's freaking amazing, because you can hear, the Star Wars-y music, and you can hear, his struggles and his thoughts and how he tries to get himself out of this trap. So basically, Luke does pursue, goes on pursuit of the pirates, which lead him to the asteroid base in the asteroid field around the Quran system. And this goes back to his fear of using too much of the Force. So he decides to basically use a full-on, like, physical disguise instead of using the Force, like using the illusion of the Force to disguise him, because he's still worried that he's using too much Force and he could go dark. And so basically he goes in there, he penetrates that base, and those are the same people who attacked that New Republic freighter that earlier in the story, and he gets led and caught in this Jedi trap. And so, Teresa, go ahead if you want to talk about how, like, that scene or this overall scene about him on the pirate base. This even leads up to his rescue by Mara Jade. So even if you want to get into that, that's okay. So go ahead and talk about it, Teresa, and then we'll go around the horn.
Okay, so yeah, Luke getting caught up in the Jedi trap. Well, little he knew. There was some other kind of kryptonite out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Poor Luke. He seemed to me to be very isolated in this book up to this point. Working along with that, and it seemed like everything went wrong. And of course, Luke getting rescued by Mara Jade. Be still my shipper heart. Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah. And it's funny because he goes and pursues these pirates, and then through Talonkar's talk with Leia and them, they talk about, and Han, they talk about those pirates. So basically Talonkar sends Mara there too as well, and little did they know that Luke is going to need to be rescued, and that she's always seeming to be rescuing him when it comes to the Zahn stuff. But that trap, if anybody hasn't read it, then I suggest you read the book or listen to the full version of the Audible. Is that basically they trapped him inside a room, and the gravity kept changing on him to where spikes would come out and he would land a certain way. So he kept on being flipped. The gravity would be turned off, and then the gravity be turned off in a different section. So he kept on being flipped and turned and tossed in there, and he loses his lightsaber. And so his lightsaber gets trapped one way somewhere else, and he gets trapped another way. So Lady Terrell, you have anything you want to add?
I thought that was wonderful, especially when Mr. Jedi, I can do everything, that everybody thinks he can do, and then he hides in a box.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna hide in a box. And then they trap him, which I thought was probably one of the most ingenious traps I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
For a Jedi. But I'm right along with Teresa. Be still my heart to watch the push and pull between him and Mara. I mean, it's classic. I hate you, love you. I don't want to tell you I like you, but I do. And it's amazing how it comes down to neither wants to give up anything because they can sense each other. And then she gets to me, and he gets to be back for giving his butt up. And it's wonderful. I love the repertoire between those two.
Yeah. So Kevin Tinoche says Jedi in a box. Yeah, so Luke, because he's trying to cut back on his use of the Force, he does a physical disguise. And so he gets inside, he basically tells, the Cavalier pirates that he's going to go get a meal in his freight. And he sneaks out and gets into a box that's going to be taken back to the storehouse. And so he can basically investigate further inside the pirates' base there. Well, little did he know he gets scanned through a scanner through the door and is discovered. And he has danger sense too, right, ladies?
Yeah, I guess not.
And so I'm like, duh, Luke, duh. And even Mara Jade even questions him, why didn't you use your Force abilities for your disguise? And he's like, oh, I'm just cutting back on the Force, because he's going through this turmoil of using too much Force abilities and stuff like that. And they get more into the story about that in the second book, and you'll learn why. And you'll learn, then Mark kind of sets him straight about it as well. So it's very, very interesting.
It's so hilarious setup, though. It was just so funny because she knows something's going on with him, but he doesn't know what.
Yeah. Exactly. And then Renee Patrick says too chicken to admit their feelings. And everybody sees their little push and pull except for those two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah, I mean, every second that Mara would be mentioned around Luke, or Luke would be mentioned around Mara, they would like stiffen or say something snippy or snappy, and everyone would go, "Uh-huh, yeah."
you're
They
not
want
fooling
to. They just need to get a room in KISS. Or maybe something more.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically Mara gets there and she gets a hold of him and he's like, well, actually he does get out, and I wish I could have just clipped it so you guys could listen to how he gets out of the trap. But he does end up getting out. They do take the oxygen and make it vacuum. He does use the force then to help himself out to maintain, but he cannot sustain his life fully in that, so he successfully gets out. And I won't say any spoilers. If you haven't read it, go read it. And then Mara gets there and she ends up getting a hold of him and he's trapped in there. So where his ship at is basically open to vacuum. And so he has to have a way out. And so basically the conclusion is that what he does goes into hibernation trance. And so from there he catapults and they go take the ship and catch him as he catapults through space. And it's just like a short distance. And so he doesn't Mary Poppins. This is no Mary Poppins situation here.
No.
No Mary Poppins situation here. And Mara goes up and she has to catch him. And if she doesn't catch him or he's not in the exact same spot or desired spot, he can slam off of the ship and go out and he's dead. And so they successfully capture him. And as they fall out of the door frame or I can't remember the name or whatever. So in the chat, if you can tell me, as they come down out of the opening, the section opening and stuff like that, the hatchet basically, or whatever it's called, she falls and he falls on her, but he almost captures himself, like stops himself from fully falling, like crushing her in the impact inside the ship. And I forgot what the password was to get him out of the trance. I forgot what it was. So basically, she says that he catches himself, from fully body slamming her. And it gets really snarky, right? Because he's like, so you just going to sit there and just lay on top of me, basically?
Yes.
And then his farm boyish kind of mentality comes out and he's like, oh, and, and he gets really, embarrassed, I guess you could say. So that was really, really funny. So, and worth a read. I probably butchered that whole scene by trying to explain it to you guys, but it's worth the scene. It's not a Mary Poppins situation either.
Yeah. And you're right, on Audible, it's amazing.
The full version, the unabridged Audible, man, it's amazing. In fact, I'm almost finishing it again. I was, listening to it, in the last couple of days.
I've been bouncing back because I have the books, but I also have it downloaded on Audible. So when I'm at work, I can listen to it while I'm working. So
yeah,
and that's amazing. They do a wonderful job.
They sure do. And so Renee, welcome aboard. Yes, I was like, what is it? Because I know their other hibernation thing is, I won't say it right now, but I know that one from the next book. They have another situation where they have to go into hibernation trance, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Lady Toriel just began the second book, so I don't want to ruin that for her. So
yeah, it's fun how they play around with the passwords or whatever the word is to wake you up. It's it's very fun.
Yeah, welcome aboard while he lies on top of her.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm probably Stig's gonna listen to this and he'd probably be glad. Like, I'm glad I wasn't talking with those ladies with that. They're all gaga over Mara and Luke. So. And then Luke wanted to fall on her. Let's admit it. Yeah. And so basically, now they reunite with Talon Card on the Errant Venture. So that's Booster Tarek's Star Destroyer. Basically, he's the only civilian that has a Star Destroyer. And you have to go back and read how he got that, but he got that in the New Jedi Order series. And so Luke recovers, and as he decides, after he's done recovering, and he goes and gets the shrapnel and everything, removed and back done, all that. He decides, because when someone recovers from injury and out of the back to tank, you have a no flight period, so you can't go out and fly, pilot your ship or whatever. And so he has like an hour and a half or so before he can really take full flight, and take off on his X-wing. So he decides to meditate. And then so what he sees, and I really like this vision, and we'll talk about this in depth too, ladies, is he sees Rogue Squadron. He sees the Jedi students leaving, to wherever they need to be. He sees Leia and Han, who gets caught up in the riot. And basically what he says about, Leia is that she's her own Jedi, or a Jedi in her own right. She can take care of herself. And Mara possibly dead. And I will not go further than that for Lady Toriel. And then he also sees like a destination, a world where he needs to visit. And so go ahead, Teresa. I'll have you lead off with this.
Oh, yikes. That's a lot to unpack.
Okay. You want me to have Lady Toriel do it then?
Yeah,
or
give it to Lady Toriel, and I'll piggyback off her.
Okay, go ahead.
It's interesting because it harkens back to when Yoda was training him. It is me up because he sees Lando and Han and Leia in Cloud City, and it kind of just automatically took me back to there, where he's seeing flashes of the future, and he never gets a complete sighting, shall we say. He doesn't know which way the situation are going to go.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because that automatically flashed in my head when I was reading that it took me right back to there, where he rushed to go save them.
Yeah.
And I love the tie-in with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to expand on what you said here, is that, Yoda said the Force is always in motion. So, what you see in the future doesn't mean it's particularly going to happen. So Luke had to pick the situation or the scenario on what he wants to act on. And from there, he decides, everything was alarming, including Mara, including seeing his Jedi students leave to wherever they need to be at, seeing Rogue Squadron, and Leia and Han caught up in the riots and stuff like that. So he decides to pursue his vision to St. Jansen. So he follows his vision to St. Jansen. And so, Teresa, you want to add on to this vision and this little scenario before you move on?
Oh, for sure. And also the idea is that we never always get context with these as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always in motion, and maybe what you're seeing is not necessarily what you're getting. And it also harkened back to me to something Yoda had said about, he almost seemed to be warning Luke about not taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to be going, oh, let's find out. It was a caution that you just be careful. It just reminds me a little bit of sometimes something, in real life, where you always see in literature with prophecy. It's like, just be careful. Just be careful. The future is always in motion. Things may not be what they seem. Symbols may mean something else. So don't do anything dumb.
Yeah, yeah. And so he has to really trust in the Force to help him make the decision where he needs to go next. And so basically, while he's going through this, and he, an unknown ship, so it's a hybrid of a TIE fighter, buzzes by the bridge of the errant Venture, and basically leaves. And after they try to track and get to the, the information from the ship and stuff, it leaves a message, but the recorded message it leaves that they catch, and only thing that they catch is Mithron Neurodo. And if you guys don't know who that is, the core name is Thrawn.
Yep.
And so that kind of chills them to the bone, because the ship is basically a hybrid of a TIE fighter. It looks like a TIE fighter, but it's not. And so they're like, what is this ship and what's going on? And so it startles them. And so as Luke follows his vision to Sejensen, Mara then goes to pursue that ship. So we have Luke follows his vision, and basically there's a peace demonstration. I really thought that scene was really beautiful. How the senator or the representative talks to Luke, and they go down and look, because it's a place where there's a canyon, and there's beautiful bridge arches, and there's a big old city down there, and then these people have these lights, and they form these rings, and each ring represents another system or a species, and how they're coming together for peace. First it represents just their species with one color in one ring, and they all start integrating in together for unity kind of deal. So I thought that was really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then we get to the exciting part. His I was gonna say his spidey senses, but basically his Force, his danger senses go off, and he sees an old woman and her grandchild being attacked. And so he goes down into the canyon where she's at to help aid her. And really, it is Miranda Savage with her Nogri bodyguard. And Luke is also trying to get a hold of Card, but it happens to be that she's one of Card's employees. And after Luke, quote unquote, helps, I'm like holding up these quotes, the Nogri defeat these pirates or these attackers. She's like, oh yeah, I could take you to Card. So it was kind of like a quinkydink kind of situation going on, or like will of the Force, if you will, with that. So you ladies, if you want to spin off on that scene there with that fight in the Nogri, and her taking Luke to Talon Card.
It cracked me up.
Yeah,
actually, I was laughing because he was looking at her and she was going through the bodies.
and
Pulling stuff off of the bodies and stuff, and he's kind of looking at her like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, she's scavenging, huh?
He's like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but all right.
Yeah.
And she just kind of gave him that look, because usually the Nogri need no help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting, that kind of, you find that out just a little bit later, but that Dalen Card has, I think, a lot more respect for Luke after he found out what happened. I mean, he does like the Skywalkers. But I think he gained a little more respect for Luke, knowing how the Nogri fight and that they usually need no help.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Teresa, you want to expand a little bit more on that, or any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was just a great way of putting it. And I don't know, I just am such a fangirl. I'm just sitting there enjoying anything with all of this.
Yeah, exactly. And So basically, Miranda Savage and her Nogri bodyguard takes Luke to Talon, and it's a funny little scene because Talon's like, I don't like surprises, and one of his officers says, well, here's your surprise, and he's like, I'll be kissled, hey, it's Luke Skywalker kind of deal. So you have this this peaceful greeting, but then we get to Luke, them finding out that Mara Jade, she gets to the world Neuron, and she basically hides her ship because they pursue her there, because those unknown ships pursue her there, and she hides in caves. And so she then goes inside the caves and finds out that these species have are wanting to know about Luke Skywalker. But during that conversation and stuff, she basically runs into the wall or cavern or a rock or something, like, and knocks out, or gets knocked out. And so that message is sent from Fawn to Talon Card. And so when Luke gets there, he surprises, he's a happy surprise for Card. And then they meet up and stuff, and then they get that message from Fawn. Whoops, we lost her. And from there, I know we'll let her back in I'll let her back in. And then from there, they get the message that Mara basically is in danger. She's could be dead. They don't know. She's in a cave. All of that. And then Luke tells Talon Card of his vision about her. Before he does, I know I love your little squeal. You're like, oh. Before he does, before he tells them and stuff like that, Card does sense that there is this like push and pull as well, and stuff. And so when Fawn is giving the message, the book tells that Luke Skywalker goes around the table and stands right next to Talon Card, very, very concerned. And then when Talon Card basically begins to say, like, you need to go rescue her, and he's ready to put on this big, huge reason and debate back at Luke, Luke finally says, yeah, okay, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sets it off. And so if you guys want to expand a little bit on that, and Lady Toriel, you want to go, or it doesn't matter which one?
It doesn't matter. Teresa can go this time.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, fangirl here.
Yes, I know, you squeal.
They were talking to each other, him and Talon, and as Luke is kind of turned away,
yeah,
Talon goes, like, what did you see? What did you see of Mara?
Mm-hmm.
Just like all quiet. He's like, I saw her face down in water, and he just is so grave and silhouetted in the door. I'm like, sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. I love it, though. I love it.
Yeah.
Because he was very grave about it, and he didn't really have to say anything more.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. And what I liked, and then I'll have you expand on your what you think about this whole scenario, this whole scene. But what I liked about it is that when they started preparing what do you call it, Luke's ship, like with survival equipment and stuff like that, and he's like, I need to go alone, and Fawn's like, he can't go alone, Card, tell him he can't, kind of deal. And Talon Card's looking at Luke's face, and he's like realizing, like, the 10 years since he first seen him, how he was never brash. Luke was never brash, but the 10 years from when he first met him, he realized such a quiet maturity in him. And then Luke goes like, I can. And he's like, well, he's a Jedi. If he says he can, he can. So I really like that as well, because we get a scenario, we get a scene where it shows, even though Luke is still doubtful of using too much force and, worried about the dark side still and crossing over, and with, his choices, some of his choices and stuff, he has matured a lot. Yes, he has matured a lot. And so that right there, that scene too resonated with me. Go ahead, lady.
He also saw the determination on his face. And he knew arguing was not going to change anything, that Luke was determined to go by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Teresa, you know, Days of Our Lives, he also knows the connection between Mara Jade, even though they don't want to recognize it between themselves,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that it was something that he had to do himself.
Yes.
But what struck me as funny is the amount of supplies they loaded up his spaceship with.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, we need triple this, you know, triple all this stuff.
And he's like,
But it
no,
was
I
like,
need it light as I can. You know, he's like, little as I can and stuff. And so that was very fun and interesting too. You know, these books, you learn a lot about the characters, but also a lot about, you know, like their world and their everyday lives and stuff. You know, it's really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean that scene right there, it was haunting. I think it was well executed. We get to see, you know, the evidence of Luke maturing, even though he's still doubtful, even though he still needs help. You know, even though he has conflict within, you know, and you know, this duology, and I'm not trying to spoil it for you, Lady Torel, this basically kind of solidifies their Force bond.
Oh, yes, it's
Mhm.
okay, because I think I'm into chapter 7
Okay.
already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've 7 or 10, something along there. So
Mm-hmm.
there, yeah, he's with her. Okay, I've gotten that far
Yeah.
in the second book, so I understand where you're at. So.
Okay, good. I just don't want to give too much spoilers for you since you're still new to the series here. You're still reading into it and stuff like that. So we'll move
Oh,
on
yeah.
here. So Card contacts Leia during a Senate meeting. And it's bad timing because everybody's bashing Han and bashing Lando, you know, and bashing Card and the Solo's choices of who they talk with, and you know, and all this. And so we have that going on. And if you listen to it on Audible, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to listen to. So Card gets a hold of Leia on her private comlink and wants to meet. So basically he's not let in because there's already Ishuris that are not allowing, that are at the space, that works in the security part of the spaceport, that won't allow him in. So Leia has to use her private sense, you know, code to allow him to come into the planet. And so they meet and stuff. And when they meet, finally, when they meet at Leia's residence, we do have a lot of stuff going on. Basically, you know, what is it? We have Shada coming into the fold as and working with Card. We have Card and Lando talking about, you know, Card should go meet up with his old boss George Cardass. And I don't know if you got that far yet with George Cardass, Lady Toriel. Not yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yet, no, just barely into that. But I thought the exchange between Han and Lando was very extraordinary, because being new into it,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I know they had a back history,
Yeah.
because you could tell, and the tenseness in the room
Mm-hmm.
when they were talking.
Yeah.
And it's, should you call Card an anti-hero, maybe?
Yeah. Because I like it
Because,
because go ahead.
you know, even though he's a smuggler, like you said, he cares for people.
Yeah.
And he does want the best in every situation to come out. And he has a lot more feeling than I think a lot of people give him credit for.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And I don't think it's this scene, but basically when Luke and Card are not Luke, when Han and Card are talking, and Han goes, "What is it going to take for you to come onto our side?" And then Card asks, "Well, what what did it for you? And he goes, Leia. And he goes, yep, I knew that. He goes, if Leia has another sister, then maybe I'll consider. And then Han goes, basically, with the Skywalkers, you never know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I cracked up on that part. I was like, geez, but so we have the scenario, they're at, we're at the solo residency, Shada does sneak in, and I'm not getting too much into her backstory here, but she basically sneaks in. She wants to be she wants to serve the New Republic officially. And instead they deny her, and she's like, well, so much for the, good New Republic, whatever.
Yeah.
And so she does, Talon Card does hire her. And so they start preparing to go off to meet with George Cardass. And so I thought that was very interesting. You're going to love those scenes and visions of the future, especially when we get to George Cardass and Yoda and Luke Skywalker. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil it for you, Lady Toriel. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's really exciting, right, Teresa?
Yeah. These two books are so awesome. There's so much fun.
Exactly. And so one of the downers that really pisses off Leia and actually Han is Card basically went there to tell them personally that Luke went off on a mission on his own to save Mara and whatever. And so Card finally tells Leia and Han, and man, they are not happy. They are not happy. So we have that little conflict as well. And so we're winding down with the books. These are the final scenes that lead and thread into the next book. So then we have Rogue Squadron. They're on a mission to aid the Bothans because the Larison are attacking them. And lo and behold, so they respond to that. Bel Iblis sends them there, and once they get there, they see the confrontation and they go to pursue it. And then Wedge is like, okay, Rogue Squadron, lock your S foils. And we have Rogue 9, who is Corn Horn, just bellows out, no, don't do it. And so basically their X-Wings are sabotaged.
Yep.
Yeah. They're sabotaged. And so basically they can't do anything. So we see, like we see in the future from everything that's going on in the Senate, every species that has a problem with our past problem, unresolved problem, or whatever, our grudge against the Bothans are now starting to take revenge. And so the species I can't even say it now. Well, anyways, my daughter, are you ready to go? So they basically want to get revenge on the Bothans for when that riot happened, because 2 of their people were killed. And so they have, for every 1 person that's killed of theirs, 10 people must die. And so we have the scenario. So if you guys want to talk about that a little bit, it's just we're winding down now. So we're getting to all the end of the book that sets up the next book. So
okay. Teresa, did you find that interesting? How they should I say suckered them into the play in the space battle so they could achieve their goal?
Oh, you mean how they lured them in?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The way that whole thing was crafted was very, very, very interesting, and it was the ultimate sabotage. The only thing that messed it up, I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves, is Palian. If I'm right, but that's at the end.
Yeah, yeah, and we're getting to that as well. And so we do find out what happened. Their ships did get sabotaged by, the Lycerin. There we go. Basically had insiders who worked on those, or supposedly worked on the X-wings inside.
Yeah.
Inside
What
the.
to me
Huh?
was very sad was just Wedge having to watch the retribution take place and could do nothing about it.
Exactly. They just had to stand by and watch, and Garm Bel Iblis or Bel Iblis didn't get there in time either to counter that as well. And so that was really, really sad. And then we have Han and Leia, or Han takes Leia away to Patrick, Minor and Major. So they're off on that right now, and he's taking her out of the situation, which President Gaverson's like, take her, get her out of the scene because there's too much shit going on, basically. You guys get out of here, whatever. So that scene sets up the next book as well. So let's get into Pelion. So Pelion is attacked by what looks like a Bel Iblis, A-wing slash, or looks like to be Bel Iblis who attacked him. So basically it's a setup base and it's a fake. So basically it's an A-wing slash that Bel Iblis himself made up. And Pelion and Thrawn were at that scene as well. And so if you guys want to just talk about that now. So we're winding down. This is like the last scene for, the Empire. So we had the New Republic, we had Han and Leia scene, and now we have Pelions. So.
Well, I really liked this scene because it showed that Pelion was not merely just who he was, but he was equal to, or perhaps even more devious than Thrawn. The way he was able to use a certain maneuver to not only fool the person, but also to simultaneously show that this was not Bel Iblis and that it was a fake, because the maneuver that he used was one that Bel Iblis had used against him.
Yeah.
And he would not have been fooled by it. I thought that was very clever.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Like they say, with age comes wisdom, hopefully. And everything, all his young officers have no idea about Thrawn. All they've heard is the myths, how he was. But Pelion knows all that.
Yeah.
And he's learned from Thrawn. He's learned to be patient, discretion, and not to show his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so this basically, these few scenes, like Luke going off to save Mara, Talon Card going off to meet up with George Cardass to possibly get a copy of the Amos document. Leia and Han going off on a little excursion, which sets up another scenario that you'll find out in the next book. And Pelion, the attack on Pelion, kind of it opens up a little bit more about what's going on and about the New Republic learning that possibly Thrawn survived that attack. And so we get all of that set up. So yeah, this is a segue into it. So this is not a standalone book. You need to finish the other book to really understand what's going on. So it's an open-ended story, and it sets up the other book very, very well. So let's go ahead and go around. I mean, we're not going to rate this book. At the next one, we will rate the whole overall duology together. But just go around and just give your, like how you felt about this book, or how, even if you want to give it like some sort of rating on just it leading up to the other story. So Teresa, go ahead.
Sure. I like to think of these two books as one novel, because I feel like the end of Spectre of the Past it
Mhm.
stops. It doesn't so much as conclude, but it pauses.
Yeah.
I think it is magnificently and never mind, I can't even pronounce it. Intricate
Mhm.
in the
Yes,
way
no.
that it
Sorry.
really has so many character moments is what I think makes it so much fun. Not merely the big three, but of course Talon Card, Mara, Shada, or Jada, the
Mhm.
Rogue Squadron, the whole gang is here, and
Yeah.
they're they're exploding. Everything's having fun. I'm having fun, rather. I mean, they're not having fun, and it is a great conclusion to what was begun in the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In my
Exactly. So it's
humble
a great
opinion.
continuation and stuff. And we do get a lot more lore building and cross references on other books as well as we get into the next one. And so,
Did I
Lady
lose you?
Toriel, huh? Okay. So, Lady Toriel, go ahead and, give your conclusion to what you thought about this book as well.
I like the interweaving of the stories with just enough humor to set everything off in when you get to the real heavy parts. He does that little thing where he'll throw Han in with an offhanded remark, or he'll throw Lando in, or one of the other characters, and then the explanation comes in and the world building about weaving the past into the present, giving you just enough snippets of things
Mm-hmm.
that intrigues you and
Yeah.
pulls you in.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to know more about these characters. And the setup for the second book is simply amazing because it makes you want to go right straight into the second book because you want to find out what's happening to these characters, that the interweaving between different species, how they react, uh, the 11 that's pursuing her,
Mm-hmm.
Luke and Mara, of course, always, but
Yeah.
also the interaction between Leia and Han and trying to figure out how to bring peace, plus the side character, you know, with Lando getting themselves into all these kinds of trouble, not meaning to, but it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing how he weaves this story into. They set out with the best intentions, and whatever could go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so the end of this book basically is after that attack, and they realize it wasn't Bel Iblis. Pelion wants to wait, a certain amount of time for Bel Iblis to arrive because at this point he doesn't know that Vermil was captured. And so he's like, they thought that maybe it was the New Republic, people who don't want to have the peace treaty between the factions, either on their side or the New Republic side. Um, if they, if that's who attacked him or what have you. And so he's all basically he's asked, and so we stay. And so Pelion says, so we stay at least a while. And he's like, Ardif says, yes, sir. And he pursed his lips. You realize, of course, that our unknown opponent may not give up this easily. He may attack again. Palia turned again to look at the fiery debris. Let him try. To be concluded. And so that's the very end of the book right there. And okay, my girls, I'm gonna have to put her in timeout. Okay, so we get the conclusion of the book, and so the next book, I'm gonna talk with the panel and see what day is best and time is what best. So the time is to be announced for the next review, but I want to have it about maybe 6 or 7 weeks later, so like February 11th maybe, or around that time frame, because these books are really thick. There's a lot going on in these books. So we'll have that to be announced here pretty soon. However, the book that we're going to be reviewing is part 2. So if you guys haven't read part 2 yet, pick it up. You have plenty of time. There's an unabridged version of on Audible of Visions of the Future too. And they're like, what, 22 hours altogether to listen to? So you can always pause. You can grab your book and read along with your novel and listen, which I do, and enjoy. So myself, I really like this. I like the setup that leads up to, Luke and Mara becoming a couple as well. And the scenes in that when they fight together is phenomenal. So I'm just brace yourself, Lady Toriel. You're going to friggin' love it.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. My phone gets hot when I'm on a stream for a long time, and all of a sudden I just kind of disappear. It was like, wait, whoa, she said something. Like, I'm gone again. Oh no.
Yeah,
We've
and
been
so
plagued with technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Human
Yeah,
and
technical
otherwise.
difficulty.
I mean, feline and otherwise.
yeah, it happens. It's just one of those days and stuff. So yeah, so Lady Toriel, you're gonna love the lead up. You're gonna love the scenarios between Mara and Luke. All of that, and
Oh, yeah, I've been loving it so far. Like I said, if I can at work, if I'm doing something by myself where no one talks to me, then I get to listen to it. And I've been doing it, chapter by chapter, and I've just been enjoying the heck out of it. It's wonderful. And the audibles, I can't say enough of this. If people don't have Audible, go get it, but just make sure it's the unabridged. And the person who does the reading, the voices and everything, it's simply just fantastic.
Yes, and it is. Let me see if I'm gonna pull it up right now. Let's see here. It is. Oh my God! Please let me just see it. Oh, I can't see it right now. My room's getting dark and I don't have lights on, and because I don't have camera on. So, anyways, but yeah, so he's one of the most popular narrators for these series that we hear a lot. Mark Thompson, maybe it is. Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead and conclude here. So, Teresa, let us know where we can find you.
You can find me at Miss Martin Muses here on YouTube, on Twitter, Teresa2_Martin. And if you want to check out an old website, which I was the editor of, onceuponafandom.com, if you are a fan of Once Upon a Time, see some old articles and more than 70 interviews with writers, creatives, composers, staff, actors, everyone.
All right. And there's her link right there. And then go ahead and Miss Lady Toriel, let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on my channel, which is Lady Toriel. I'm in the process of making a new video. We'll see how soon I can get that one done in between everything else. Okay. You find me on Twitter at Lady Toriel1. I'm also on Sporking's Game of Thrones sometimes when I can get my little butt up out of bed in time. And on yours whenever you invite me on, and I appreciate it so much, Laura, and I enjoy talking to you ladies. We always have a good time when we're together, so hey.
Yes,
heck with the guys. We'll do the girl thing there.
Maybe we'll have Mr. Viqueen in here with us. Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you again, ladies, and for everybody that came in and hung out to listen to their favorite parts of the book or held on and listened to the whole nearly 2 hours of the literature review. Thank you so much for participating. To the new members as well, to the super chats, to the chat as well. You guys, I just love interacting with all of you guys and discussing these books as well. And so next stream will basically be for the Visions of the Future, but then we'll also give our overall thoughts of the duology as a whole. It's kind of hard to rate each book separately. It is, but this book is pretty good as well. It's a good segue into the next one. And so I can't wait to break that down with you guys. So thank you so much, chat and panel. And I hope, oh, damn it. Sorry. Something messed up on my screen. I thought I lost you guys. I was like, oh no.
No.
Thank you guys for coming on, and may the force be with you.